Hi, my name is Lorenzo Hogans II, paramedic and Christian author, and today's video topic is going to be putting the past behind you. I want to talk about this briefly today because I don't want any of us to be held bondage mentally, certainly not physically, but mentally as well, from things that might haunt us in the past or failures from the past, or any type of negative experiences that we've had in the past. I want to start out, first of all, with two Bible verses that I think are very helpful. And the first one is from Philippians 3:13 through 14. And Paul writes, "Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it. But one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." The second Bible verse is from Isaiah 43:18 through 19. "Forget the former things. Do not dwell in the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." So there's the two verses of encouragement to kind of push you to put the past behind you. As a paramedic, you know that I run many calls, and I've got a few extreme situations where people have not quite been able to put the past behind them just yet. And, excuse me, one of them is a really big eye-opener because it's like, really? So anyways, I go on a call, and the dispatch notes say general illness. Now, when you see, as a paramedic, general illness, it's like, okay, it's time to really play investigator, because there's hundreds of things that could be wrong with somebody who is generally ill. So I walk into the home, and it's, from what I remember, it's like an efficiency studio type apartment, and it's as dingy gets. There's dirt all over the floor. There's not really much furniture except for like 3 mattresses, which were all darn near black. It was disgusting. And the whole place ranked of a foul urine smell. So I walk in there and I'm holding my breath while at the same time trying to talk and breathe. And so I asked the middle-aged woman, I think she was around 45 if I remember correctly, what was going on. You know, what was her issue? What troubled her for that day? Why did she call? And she says, "Well, I just wasn't feeling well. You know, I've been weak all night, and I just haven't been able to get out of bed. I just haven't been able to find the motivation." I said, "Well, what kind of symptoms are you having?" And she says, and she answers me this way. She says, "Well, I wet the bed, and, you know, that's a start. For starters, you know, I wet the bed." And I'm like, "Really? Do you have a history of seizures?" Because there's something called incontinence, which means you involuntarily urinate on yourself during a seizure. So she was negative on a history of seizures. She's never had a seizure, and she didn't have a seizure last night, that night before, because I came in the morning time, early morning. It must have been around 7 o'clock. And the daughters were there as well too, so if she would have had a seizure, they would have witnessed it. So, no history on a seizure. I said, "Well, what caused you to pee on yourself? Do you have any special conditions that I need to know about?" And she says, "No. I've got chronic depression, and, quite honestly, I just didn't feel like getting out of bed." I said, "Well, that's some type of depression you've got going there. Very serious case. And she's like, oh yeah, yeah. And I pooped on myself too. Hmm. I said, you couldn't find the motivation to get out of bed and avoid pooping on yourself? Really? Yeah, no, I've been peeing and pooping on myself all night long. So at this point, I'm weirded out, but, continue to go on with business as usual. We prepare to transport. She obviously needs to be seen. She needs attention of some sort. I don't know if it's medical attention, but she needs attention of some sort. So when we get into the ambulance, I ask her, and I usually don't go as far as playing Mr. Therapist, but when you're peeing and pooping on yourself, I think it warrants a little deeper questioning as far as your mental health. And I asked her. I said, "What's got you depressed?" She says, "Oh, my mom died, and I never was able to get over it." I said, "Well, when did your mom die?" Okay, and because in my mind I'm thinking, okay, this is a little bit more reasonable. Okay, I still don't, condone you peeing and pooping on yourself over it, but okay, at least that's a pretty big event in someone's life, your mother passing away. And so she tells me, when I asked her how long, the mother died, she says, "Oh, she passed away when I was 12 years old, and I never did get over it." And so at this point, there's like a record skip. You know that sound effect, that record skip, like, brrr, like, wait, what did you just say? So I asked her again. I said, "Wait, what? Did I hear you correctly? When did your mom die again?" "And when I was 12 years old. I never did get over it." "Is that, and how old are you now?" "I'm 45 years old." Right. So that was an awkward situation. But true, nonetheless. You'll be surprised how long people's past can stick with them. And of course, she had some psychiatric history. She suffered from chronic depression. She was taking some meds for that. But it's just a mental thing. It's a mental fight that we are in often, that we have to win. And we have to win it by being resilient, having the self-motivation to be resilient, asking God for the power to move on and get past those negative occurrences, and so on and so forth. So I ran another call where a young lady was suffering from depression. I mean, it was taking over her eating habits, meaning she wasn't eating. She wasn't sleeping. I mean, she had bags under her eyes, serious bags under her eyes, and you could tell she was just stressed out. Now, she called for abdominal pain. She had a history of ovarian cysts. One of them had ruptured as well, and she also had a uterine ablation. And so she had abdominal pain, but come to find out, during transport, she was talking to me about how all of this extra stress came on 8 months ago when her husband died. Another huge and completely understandable event. But what was weird about that call was she told me that her husband is still with her, and she just kind of chuckled about it. He's like, "My husband, he's still with me, He did overdose or not overdose. He did die from chronic use of steroids, and yeah, he died, but he's still with me. He's all around me, and he moves stuff all the time, and I laugh at him, and I'm like, well, I can't say one way or another if you're seeing a ghost or not. But what I can say is it's peculiar. It's peculiar. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to go into judging people, but it was peculiar, to say the least. And so, yes, those calls are extreme. Those examples are very extreme cases, but they're true, and they are absolutely in existence. So, God forbid you ever get that far into, not into failing to put the past behind you. And, we got to give a little bit more leeway to the one who was, whose husband died just 8 months ago. I mean, that's like no time passing. But remember those Bible verses that I shared with you, and allow those to kind of guide you. Heed that wisdom. Let God work in your life to move past. And it's not those things in your life. Move past those negative experiences in your life. And that's what I really like about the Lion King movie, actually, because even as a kid, I understood. I mean, they were funny characters and everything, Timon and Pumbaa, but as Timon said, you got to learn to put the past behind you. And I love that because it allows you to seek new opportunities, try to bring to fruition bigger and better things. Forget about tomorrow. I mean, not necessarily forget, because we can't ever forget about something that, affected us in a big way. But don't let it keep you in bondage. That's one thing that I hate. Things keeping you in bondage. Things keeping you slave and brainwashed. Like, you just have to linger on that. And if you have the opportunity, because I know many of you don't have great relationships with your moms, many of you don't have great relationships with your dads, maybe it's a brother, maybe it's a friend, because life is all about relationships, and not all relationships are good. And because at the end of the day, what you have is humans interacting with one another, taking actions or not taking actions, and you end up with positive or negative or mediocre, neutral results. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. And the beauty that I like, the beauty in forgiveness, that's why Jesus is such a good model, is that it frees you from any type of bondage. You can wipe your hands clean, from grudges, from that bitter taste in your mouth, if you will just man up or woman up and increase the size of your heart, increase the size of your love, and just forgive. And then you can kind of wipe the slate clean, so to speak. Now, Jesus advised Peter to forgive many, many times when somebody sins against him. But what I will say is Jesus did not tell us to continually put us in the line of fire. I am not advocating, set yourself up for failure. That is not the mentality I am pushing, that's for sure. And to quote directly from Matthew 18:21, it says, "Then Peter came and said to him, 'Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Up to 7 times?' Jesus said to him, 'I do not say to you up to 7 times, but up to 70 times 7. Now, if you look at different translations and whatnot, you will see that some say Jesus said 70 times 7, or 77 times, just put plainly like that. And what we know about Jesus is that he spoke in parables, and he spoke in, what I like to call umbrella statements sometimes. So I'm going to make an umbrella statement and say, Jesus is telling you to forgive a lot, okay? There's nothing wrong with forgiveness. Don't be a fool and put yourself in the same scenario every single time, so you always have to keep forgiving somebody, Watch what you're doing out there, that's for sure. But, have a heart. Work on your character development is what I encourage you to do. And be the bigger person enough to forgive. It will set you free. It'll set your mind free from constantly thinking about it. Trust me, I've been there. And it's not a pretty place. It's not a pretty place. The way I think of things is at the bottom of every mountain is a valley. You don't want to be stuck in that valley. You want to get out of that valley throw that mud off of you, throw all that muck off of you, and get to climbing that mountain, because you're on to better things. You're going to be doing bigger, better things. You know, somebody did you wrong, you know, wipe your hands with it, forgive them. We're all only human anyway. You know, someone's gonna mess up, someone's gonna do you wrong. It's a part of life. Okay, and I'm speaking from personal experience. Okay, back in 2014, we're in late 2017 now. Back in 2014, I was a mess, total mess. I lost my job, my car gave out on me, and then I lost a woman that I was in love with. And I say lost, but I had to make separation. I had to sever the ties with the woman that I was currently dating and seriously making big future plans with, because our goals didn't align, and our values didn't align. You know, I was heartbroken because she wanted to use the beautiful body God gave her to go and strip. She thought that that was the easiest way to go about doing things. Now, easy it may have been, and but that, you know, there's a character flaw there, in my opinion, and it's not something that I could stand by. And it's something that I had to forgive. Was I ate up about it? Absolutely. Was I disgusted? Absolutely. Did I think about going to that strip club and maybe pouring a little gasoline around the building and setting that bad boy on fire and watching it burn? Absolutely, I thought crazy thoughts like that. I was hurt, you know, and I'm just being real with you, because when you're down and out, you're not feeling good, you're ready to strike. Especially if you're the type like me where you don't like to be down and out, and you know, you feel like you've been taken advantage of, or you feel like you've just been totally betrayed. These are real human emotions, and we have every right to feel anger. It's natural. So do feel angry, do feel sad, but cry your tears, or, you know, go have a workout session, hit the punching bag as much as you need to, and get over it, you know. And even to this day, she's still out there, you know, somewhere just, you know, probably, you know, having a ball. As far as I know, she's still doing the same thing. But you know what? Another thing I learned is what's not in your hands doesn't warrant the worry. It doesn't warrant your concern. I can't control anyone's decisions, and neither can you. I was back in school. I took a test that I was really worried about, and you know, I'm asking around, what do you think you got? You know what I mean? And this older fella who was in the class with me, he said, you know, Hogans, why are you worried about that test? It's already been taken. It's not in your hands. You know, he's sitting there popping his boiled peanuts and chewing them up, and he's fine. Meanwhile, I'm panicking. You know, I'm waiting. I'm trying to figure out, you know, what everybody thought. And so he says, dude, just chill out, man. Whatever you got on the test is what you got. There's no sense in putting your energy into it. All right, the test is done. And he tells me that's one thing that I've learned is when it's something that's out of my hands, I don't worry about it, because it's a waste of time, you know. So that kind of clicked for me that day, that, you know, and it's true for many situations. I think for humans, we feel more comfortable when we're in control of a situation, when we know. But the reality is that we're not omnipotent. We're not all-knowing. God is. And all we can do is take actions on what we can take actions on. And then after that, you know what? We got to say, that's it. So if you have a bad relationship with your mom or your father or your brother or your son, or something transpired in your past, trust me, I know. Okay? Just like I shared, you know, my past experiences with you, look at it as an opportunity to grow and understand that you can only control so much. You know, you can control forgiveness, your ability to forgive. You can control your own actions. You can't control other people. So show love. Show love. That's what Jesus wants you to do. That's what I want you to do. And I hope that's what you feel you should do. So, anyways, I wanted to kind of shed some light on leaving the past in the past. Move on, Yeah, it was messed up what happened. It was filthy. It was treacherous. It was disgusting. It was, disappointing. But are you going to get up and move on and use those experiences to your advantage and learn from them? It's making lemonade out of lemons, baby. That's what you got to do. So keep striving forward, striving for greatness, and hit the like button if you like this content. Also, if you have any input, any Bible verse you want to chip in with, or any kind of story, any commentary at all, put it below in the comment section. And hey, also hit the subscribe button. Remember to check out my books. My first one is called The Corridor That Lies Between Greatness and Insanity. That will teach you how to move forward and leave the past behind you, like Timon says from Lion King. And then if you love great stories, I've got 100 of them for you. My book is called Paramedic: 100 True Tales of a Public Servant. And both of those books are available on Amazon.com. And you can find them by typing in the title or my name, Lorenzo Hogans II. And that is all for today. I will see you the next time.